Mental illness continues to threaten the lives of so many young people here in Canada and around the world, with emergency visits and hospitalizations increasing nearly 50% in less than a decade. Yet 75% of youth are still not receiving the treatment they need. Joining us now is former U.S. Congressman Patrick Kennedy, who has taken on the initiative to help those suffering with mental illness and is doing so by unveiling a first-of-its-kind youth mental health treatment center right here in Toronto. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about the facility. What makes it so unique, and what can we expect from it?
So, first of all, you got a huge need here in Canada. Too often, many people, especially if they have means, they send their kids to the United States. Canada should be able to provide these services here in Canada. There's this launching of a New Start Initiative Foundation, New Start Foundation. It's a kind of partnership between Bellwood and Sunnybrook Hospital. You know, you've got the academic medical with the Bellwood recovery. And that's a model that's really worked in the United States. Obviously, in both Canada and the United States, we're only scratching the surface on the real need out there. And the problem is, Roger, is we've never acknowledged the brain as an organ of the body and addressed the illnesses of the brain properly. We've really treated this as something separate from medical care, and we've got to bring this back into medical care. If someone isn't getting the treatment they need for their mental illness, depression, anxiety, addiction, all the rest of their physical health care suffers. So this is a winning proposition. Families will benefit if their kids can get the help. The businesses will benefit because if their parents are worrying about their kids, they're not doing their jobs as effectively. It'll help the whole healthcare system up here because it's about total health. And we can't relegate these illnesses just because they're stigmatized to the margins and not do it the way it ought to be done. The crisis of suicide in the United States, at least, and overdoses is at an all-time high. We're literally in the United States seeing a reduction in overall life expectancy, even though we're making great breakthroughs in cancer and cardiovascular disease. And the reason we're seeing many demographic groups see their life expectancy drop is because of these, quote, diseases of despair.
Why are we seeing this increase, especially among young people? Your cousin, Saoirse, died of suicide just a month ago, and she was very open about her battle with it.
Yes, so Saoirse struggled with addiction and mental illness. And by the way, that's a good example of we can't relegate this as addiction over here and mental illness over here. These are co-occurring. In fact, addiction is a mental illness. I know, I'm in recovery myself from addiction and depression. I think the two often go together. We need to treat them as one. Part of the initiative with the New Start Foundation is to combine and really wrap around these services. And Sunnybrook Hospital has really stepped up. Their CEO has been terrific on this, and partnering with Bellwood, they can really start in Ontario, but frankly, Roger, you need to take this throughout the country. And the idea of this New Start Foundation is to get the initiative going. My cousin, Saoirse, she was very open about her struggles. She wrote in her high school newspaper about them. And, you know, yet she was treated only when it got to be acute. You know, part of these problems is that we wait till these illnesses get really bad before we even step in. We need to do with mental illness and addiction what we do with cancer and cardiovascular disease, and that is screen early and make sure you save people before they get into what they call stage 4 condition. Like, we would never allow a cancer patient to get to stage 4 before we treat them, but that's exactly what happens if you have an addiction. We all say, oh, they'll get it, they'll take care of it, they'll take care of it, while the disease progresses. And we can't allow that to happen anymore.
Why are we seeing such a rise in mental health issues for young people?
Well, obviously, I think it's a reflection. First, our economy is enormously unstable insofar as technology is taking jobs. The idea of stability for parents, for kids growing up in this world is totally changed. We're in a transition period. You combine that with technology, and people think that they're connected more than ever. Well, frankly, in some sense, they're more disconnected than ever because they're losing this kind of interaction because everybody's on their phone. I've got 5 children, and I'm very aware, like I'm pushing my 15-month down the road, and if he looks up, I can't be like this on my phone because he's looking for that. And I'm just telling you, I don't know the evidence of this, but my instinct tells me people need to be seen, heard, loved, and you can't do that if you're distracted. And I think technology is very distracting, and so I think many young people don't have the kind of backup emotionally, and I don't think they have the ability to often navigate this. And certainly when they're not taught coping mechanisms, that's a problem. Yeah. Our schools should be teaching social emotional learning, frankly. But Roger, thank you so much for giving this the attention that it needs, and we need to keep bringing the spotlight on these issues.
All right, Congressman, we appreciate you coming in and talking with us today,
Thank you.
And you'll be there tonight.